Redcat has been posting up these social media teasers over the last week, asking people what they think the next Redcat release is going to be. And I never would have guessed a rear-wheel drive competition spec drift car, and one that is pretty unique looking. So here's the RDS, a 1/10 scale, ready to run brushless drifter, and it comes in two different colors, this copper here and a gunmetal. I immediately threw the decals on because it was a lot of copper on this concept car done up by Nemo. I guess Redcat has used him for a number of concepts for their bodies. This one was, just had a lot of real estate on there, so I had to throw the decals on. Looks a lot better. I'm guessing it's kind of a concept Nissan 2023Z. Let me know what you think it is in the comment section below. But once the decals are on, it looks pretty good. Now there's some molded pieces on here, such as the grille, which are also the backing pieces for the lights behind the slits here in the front. You can put LEDs in there. And then in the rear section, they have this rear panel with the LED lights, a spoiler that you have to add on separately. The reason why they have these molded pieces is because there's no body clips, and that's where the magnets mount on the back side of the body. So I'll pull it off now so you can see. You gotta lift up on the wheel wells, just turn it over, and you can see those large rectangle panels on the front and rear. There's some magnets inside of that, and then you can see down on the bumper a large magnet and then one on the rear. So that's how the body is mounted, which I absolutely love. Now if you don't like this body style, they also provide body mounts in here, a standard front bumper, so you could go and adapt any body you want. And I think it was a 260 millimeter wheelbase, basically standard drift dimensions. But check out this chassis. The designs have progressed in this segment of RC, but let's take a closer look. A really neat splitter up front as, again, part of that body magnet mounting system. Right behind it is a carbon fiber shock tower. Plenty of mounting points for the shocks. And then for the hinge pins as well, they give you a ton of pill inserts, so you can go and adjust the pin angle any which way you want on this car, front and rear, to really dial it in. We've got a simple bulkhead up front that spans over to the servo mount, and then these very simple wishbone suspension arms, so you get maximum steering angle on this. Check that out. Adjustable turnbuckles on the top and bottom. They've got angled ball ends for the steering, so you just get maximum throw. Again, plenty of adjustments even out here on the steering knuckle, and then just a simple bearing and axle setup in the front with 12 millimeter hexes. And then for the shocks, it's an aluminum oil-filled shock, very light oil in here from the factory, adjustable collars on there, but it looks like a great setup to me. And then the rear, kind of similar. We've got a carbon fiber shock tower. Again, plenty of mounting holes for the shocks, for the camber links, the same style of aluminum shock in the rear, a soft feel to it, and then H-arms out to bulky looking hubs. Again, tons of holes in those hubs, so you can go adjust whatever you want. So that is the makeup of the suspension. Let's go back up to the front so I can talk to you about the steering. They have a long steering arm setup on this, tons of holes for the Ackerman. You could adjust the span out from the servo mounting point, so super adjustable. Here is the carbon fiber chassis, just very narrow setup. It's very narrow plate in the rear, and then a carbon fiber top deck with some bracing there. But this is really cool how they have these Nerf looking bars that actually secure the battery. You just push them down a little bit, slide the battery pack in, and they pop back up and secure the pack without any tape or hold downs. Okay, now on to the transmission, and it is a two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive transmission. Obviously, I did take this apart for you guys. It has an oil-filled diff, all plastic gears. Everything except for the top shaft gear was plastic. Even the spur gear is plastic. It has an aluminum mount to it. But there are ball bearings throughout, metal cross shafts for supporting all the idler gears. Pretty stout looking setup. Even though it's all plastic, it looks like a good plastic. And then they have metal outdrives to CV axles. So those are nice, no dog bones. Now what's really cool about the transmission setup, actually the motor plate, which is carbon fiber, is you could clock this depending on the type of surface that you're running on. So they have it up at the top here for a slick surface, such as like a polished concrete. And then you could clock it to the middle position, and then you could clock it all the way down to the lower position. Like if you're gonna go run it on a tennis ball court or a basketball court outside, which is probably where I'm gonna go run this. Since I actually tore down my little indoor drift track, it's storage right now, but it'll be back up soon, just not ready for this car. And now we can go over the electronics, because this car's really simple. We're already to the electronics. We've got a Drift Spec Servo. It's high speed, high torque for the 6-volt output on it. I like how they have an etched center aluminum plate on it. A Redcat radio system that we've seen here before by FlySky. And then I want to move over here to the GX1 gyro, which is more specific to this car. It's not your standard gyro, it's more for drift cars. It is adjustable. It does have this nice aluminum case and the graphics. And then this Redcat brushless system, 550 size motor, 3300 kV, and it does have a lighter magnet in here, so it freewheels better. It's not going to cog up on you like a crawler system would, like you would see in some of the other Redcat vehicles. This is more drift specific, and then again, it has the etching on it. And then a hobby wing based WP10BL 60 ready to run speed controller fitted with a T-plug, and it's mounted to this little plate, which I believe you could take off, but the switch is there, so it's a little difficult to access that if you want to go take things apart for maintenance. Like the rear splitter on it, as I mentioned before, even has a little tow hook on it. But let me show you what else they give you in the kit really quick. There is that massive bag of suspension insert pills, foam front bumper, and the extra body posts, basic tools. Here is the RCR2CE radio system, 2.4 gigahertz, basic trims, again, decals, the manual. All right, guys, I gotta find a spot to run this thing. So let's head out and get the RDS sideways. I took it up to RC Madness in Enfield, Connecticut to try it on their touring car track and drove it around for a few laps, just getting used to the feel of the car. And the tires got gummed up with all of the traction compound that was on the ozite carpet. And unfortunately, I couldn't get it to drift that well. I almost started driving like a touring car. It was actually planted to the track and wasn't drifting got a little bit of a feel for it there. Unfortunately, not a lot of good action footage. So then I wound up taking it to a local basketball court because I don't have any drift tracks around me. So just set up some cones and again got a feel for it on the noob level. And there I thought it transitioned really well. I wound up dropping the motor down all the way down to the chassis plate. That's where they recommend it for that. Also made a change to the steering that they recommend. Out of the box, it's not going to have full lock and you're going to have to readjust the gyro. So I did that as well. And once I did that, I started maneuvering around the cones pretty well. I wound up getting really comfortable with the car, found it easy to drive. And I believe that's some of what Redcat was going for, was allowing newbies like me to get into the car. However, I think this is a car that you could grow into. Obviously, there's so much adjustability on this car. The throttle was actually very smooth. There's a lot of roll off throttle, so you're not getting that cogging like with some of the other ready to run systems that are out there in other cars. The steering servo was very responsive. And then the gyro works well with the counter steer, just holding the wheels. I like how you can access the battery quickly. I made those motor changes really quick. The only thing with this is the concept body. You know, I appreciate the concept body, but it's not something realistic. I maybe want something like a Nissan GTR or a 240 or something like that. And again, they give you the body mounts and the bumper and everything, so you go and swap it out. But I think Redcat did a really good job here. I really like the materials that they use. I like the design style. And if you're looking to get into rear-wheel drive drifting, this should be a serious consideration for you.